It's on.
All the sounds come out of you.
What's
bright
up?
and early. Good morning.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
You're more awake than I am.
What
I had a very slow morning, which I needed.
What episode are we on? What is this?
I don't know.
6? Can we check your phone, please? Before I announce the wrong one.
Can you get all that hacking done, like off of the microphone?
You know what's funny?
When you don't answer my question, that's also really funny.
Well, hold on. This is gonna answer your question. Yesterday, Libby was like, "Why do you make so many noises?" And I was like, "That's a great question. Wait till you get old like me, and you'll make old man noises too."
Why is this pod not popping up?
I got something in my throat. My sinuses are blech.
Skills complex is what we did last, correct?
Uh huh.
So
Which
it's episode, we're on 5.
Oh yeah, January, February, March, April, May. One a month, baby.
We're doing good.
Just like we said.
We're doing great things today.
Yeah.
Ugh.
How you feeling?
I feel weird today. I don't
Why?
know why. I
Weird?
slept really well last night. I'm getting hot already.
Oh gosh.
I ain't sick. Don't worry.
I feel great.
How are you handling it?
I feel great. Me and Will had Will and Kev had some nice whiskey last night.
Had some girl time last night.
We did. We watched. We went over to Kev's house and we watched. Margie was there and Marion and what did we watch? Just Go With It, with Adam Sandler and Brooklyn Decker and Jennifer Aniston, where he like they fake him like him and Jennifer Aniston fake a divorce so he can get with Brooklyn Decker and then ends up marrying Jennifer Aniston in the end.
Nope, never. I got nothing.
Great movie.
Was it good?
It was hilarious.
Okay,
Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It's one of those it's a good movie.
Was it like a rom-com or?
Kinda, but it's Adam Sandler, so
Yeah.
you can only
They
take
could
it so
go either
serious.
way. Yeah, anyway.
But no, it was good. It was a
Good.
good movie.
What
about you?
Is it new?
No, it's not new. It's been around for a while.
Oh.
What about you? What'd you do last night?
What did I do last night? We had some friends that were in town. So I and Abby came home from Salt Lake City, St. Louis, STL, not SLT. Met the baby for the first time.
Ooh,
Mhm.
baby.
Malachi, baby Kai.
Very
He's a
nice.
little chunk. He's got cheeks that are like, he's just a chunk. He's
Nice.
awesome. Took mom to breakfast yesterday since today's Mother's Day. Happy
Yes.
Mother's Day
Shout
to
out all the
everybody.
moms. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
And then, worked out in the morning, had breakfast. I'm giving you my whole day, even though you didn't ask for
It's
it.
fun.
Had
what the
breakfast
people want.
afterwards. It was very, very unique day. I don't know. And then we had a celebration of life yesterday. One of our friends from high school passed away.
That I heard about that. Very sorry to hear about that.
It was tough, but it's part of life. Unfortunate, but it's part of life. So, and then afterwards we had dinner. Some of us, our little group from high school, which we're all still really close, which we were kind of talking about that last night. As you grow and meet other people, I don't know if it's just like Gwinnett County in particular and the region that we're in, but like a lot of people who are out of state don't understand or can't resonate whenever I'm like, yeah, I still hang out with my high school friends. They're like, you do? What? It's just a different dynamic, but it was good to see everybody.
High school. I feel
There's
like
a handful of people from high school.
I feel like it's you and Dane. For me, that's it.
Well, I mean, Sloan.
Oh, and Sloan, yeah. I keep forgetting Sloan goes north. I always forget that.
I know.
Or
So
went
just to
north.
preface, I think we already said this before, but Hamilton and I went to different high schools, but they were in the same region.
Yeah.
And our friends group
Rivals.
all hung out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ironically.
Kayla and I we know a lot of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Sloan knows, and Sloan obviously as well, which blows my mind that Sloan and I did not not know each other in high school.
That was weird too, because we were all part
a
of
lot
the same
of
group.
exactly.
Yeah.
Very strange. But then Dane, who's like my bestie for life.
Yeah.
That's my guy right there. He I don't even know if he listens to this shit. Dane, listen to this
Probably not.
podcast.
Probably not.
But that is the greatest human on this planet.
Yeah. Dane's great.
I absolutely love that guy. And I mean that. He is the greatest human on this planet.
It's a goofy guy.
He is a goof, dude. He is such a goof. Dane, you're such a goof, dude. I love you. I talked to him yesterday.
Every time I
love that
think
guy.
about him, I think of the speeches that he makes. Just speeches in general.
Dude. When we had to cut his speech off at my wedding, that guy.
And was it the...
It's just because he loves so much.
What was the other one?
The speech?
There was
The rehearsal dinner.
It was a... No.
Where everyone just made fun of me for being fat.
It was...
I was Listen, you want an insight
right.
into my wedding? My wedding day?
No, I thought there was something else that he just did. Did we have like... It was your birthday.
Was he gave a speech on my birthday?
Did
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
There was another time when he gave a speech
Anyway,
fairly recently, but it was funny.
For those of you that weren't at my wedding, let me tell you how it went. Okay, rehearsal dinner was everyone talking about how great Hannah is and how fat I was.
Your dad too.
Fucking literally.
Your dad too.
My dad and my best friend double teamed me and was like, "My son used to be so fat,"
and they both just kept going.
For a long time. And I was like, we get it, okay? You used to be fat. I understand. Not anymore, okay? Not anymore, thank goodness. And then the wedding day, the greatest day of my life. That was the
happy anniversary, by the way.
Day. Thank you.
Just came
yes,
through.
We just had our first. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the greatest day of my life. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
It was an awesome day.
It was a great time.
You
were there. You were in it.
I know. It was great. One of my favorite memories from the wedding, 2 memories. One, well, there's a lot of good times, but one of them was being up at the altar with you guys and that freaking bee. Did you know that there was a bee
on? I had.
Yeah,
I was.
There was a
me
little
and Hannah
bee.
And no one else up there.
There's a little bee that was going around, and all of us bridesmaids were like, and it was
don't see me.
And then every time like I would kind of take a step back, like my elbow would go into like somebody's boob, and then like I'd turn and somebody else would get knocked into somebody else. And then oh god, your flower girl, Dane's daughter.
Quinn.
Go back and look at your videos. Go back and look at your pictures. I swear on
Wow.
everything. Your photographer had to have gotten a photo of Quinn, like, because there was one moment where I look over and she's looking at me, and then the bee comes right here and she goes, she just, and she's running around, but we're all trying to we kept it cool.
Hannah said,
for you too.
Hannah said, before they walked out, so Quinn is Dane's daughter. She's the cutest little kid ever, dude. She was our flower girl, and my nephew Connor was our ring bearer. And remember when Connor sprinted? Connor just sprinted down. It was hilarious. And Quinn played that role perfectly. Connor was just excited. But right before they went out, Quinn was crying. And Annalise, Dane's wife, is like, I know, I cried that whole day. It's ridiculous. But Annalise was like trying to, get Quinn ready, and they had been practicing with her and all this stuff. And Annalise was like, hey, it's time. Like, you got to get it together. And Hannah was like, Quinn looked at Hannah and just like wiped the tears from her face and went out there and nailed it. Quinn, if you ever listen to this when you're older, when you can comprehend this, you crushed it. You did a great job. Absolutely great job. But that was, man, that wedding, dude, that was so much fun. Like,
it was such a good day.
That was so much fun, dude. And it was, man, what a great wedding.
It was fun.
It's crazy.
It was great.
You and bridesmaids and groomsmen, man. It was just so much fun.
It was a good group across
Yes.
the board. I've been in some weddings where, like, we're all there for the couple getting married, and that's kind of it. But, like,
right.
I'm a personable person anyway, but I've kept in touch with just about all the bridesmaids.
They're
all freaking great.
And
half of your groomsmen I knew anyway.
Yeah, my groomsmen they're all homies, dude. Those are the
most
greatest
of them are
guys
here.
on the planet. So
we
a lot
see
of them
them
are
often
here.
anyway. Yeah.
All the guys,
Yeah.
Ty, Bowflex, Roby, Kev would have been one. Kev was next in line. Sloan Will, of course. Brian, my brother-in-law, Dane and Caleb. Man, those are. You want to talk about a stout group of dudes? Those are some wonderful guys. And then Kev. Speaking of Kev's about to get married. Old Kev and Marge.
In like a month.
Yep, they're getting married next month.
In
Monroe. And then Adam and Holly. These are all functional versatility athletes, by the way.
Yep.
They're getting married in September.
And more functional versatility athletes are getting married in November. Victoria and Braden.
They're getting married in November? Oh my God, that's great. Congratulations, guys.
Mhm.
I did not know that. That's
Mhm.
amazing. That is
So
amazing.
I'm really excited.
Wow. Shout out all of our FV moms, too. We're filming this on Mother's Day.
Yes.
So
So
we love you guys. Very, very
Mhm.
much so.
Y'all are awesome.
What do we have coming up? We have Q1, the first
Retesting.
block of training for Q1. We're retesting next week.
Mhm.
And then they deload and they start block 2,
Mhm.
which we're doing things a little differently in block 2, doing some different tests. I'm excited to see what everyone does for block 1. We have some athletes that are
There's 2 blocks for Q1, just to clarify.
And we have some athletes competing already, starting to compete this month.
Mhm.
For our people up at Faded Glory. They're competing up there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a
So
local
getting them
comp
ready for
going on.
that. So yeah.
That'll be fun too. That'll be a good one because it's in their gym.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
It'll be a good
comfortable.
opportunity for them to we're really gonna involve them and get them competing a lot more this year so they can get some more exposure.
Mhm.
So this will be a good kind of
Entry. It's a
segue
good way. Mhm.
into that because they'll be in their home turf. It'll be a little less stressful, things like that.
Fun,
so,
competitive atmosphere.
So yeah, in terms of our athletes, our individuals, we're just prepping them to get their season started since all the qualifying stuff is over for all of our athletes.
Did we touch base on our quarterfinal athletes and how they did? Or
Mm-hmm.
we did last
Oh no, I don't
I
think
don't
we
think
did
we
that.
did. I think it was still about to happen whenever we recorded
so
last.
we checked all of our boxes this year.
We did.
Thank
That
goodness.
was awesome. That was awesome.
We had Chris in Masters. We had Kaylee in the occupational games. Libby was in teams. Teens. Golly, teens. I need the C4 to kick in. Teens. Carrie Belmore also was Masters. We did not have. Oh, and then quarterfinals was just. I think myself.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, we've picked up a lot of different athletes, which is great. I guess you could say our demographic of athlete has broadened. So it's not just CrossFit athletes. You have a lot of powerlifting athletes. We have athletes that are just doing it for general fitness.
Maintenance stuff, yeah.
So where we were when we started, having such a big pool of CrossFit athletes has now kind of, there's been some diversity added in there, which has been cool. It's challenged us as coaches too. And we're just continuing to grow, which is crazy. And speaking of growth, we have a smidge of an announcement. So our great friend, Adam Meyer, who was on the podcast for episode 3,
I think.
That's when you were traveling.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has started a brand called Move.
He's awesome.
Yes. We love Adam. Adam, we love you. He has started a brand called Move. Move is now officially the apparel supplier of Function Versatility. I will link Adam's store into when all of everywhere we post this video, and we're gonna have some designs that will be out very soon.
I'm excited.
They've already been ordered. They look really good. So our store link, we'll post that on social media once it's out, and then we'll go from there.
Isn't it cool how things just fall into place?
Listen, this guy, Adam, has such a talent for this stuff, man.
He does. And you've been trying to work on this apparel for a long time. People have been asking about it. I also know, if y'all haven't caught on by now, very particular team we have here. So it's not exactly the fact that we just want to throw anything on a t-shirt and call it a day. We wanted to make sure that it looks good and it's quality and it's representative of what we're trying to portray. And we've been holding off on ordering or producing or anything like that. So the fact that Adam has crossed our paths,
it's been great.
Freaking awesome.
Well, and we're a small operation. It's just Kaylin and I. So our time is limited. I mean, our resources are limited. Oh.
And Hannah.
Now. Yeah.
She's been on board.
Hannah.
She's been on board.
Hannah
she's
officially is
very,
hired.
very pregnant. She's
big old pregs.
But so she's had a little bit of.
But she's officially hired. So she plays a role. So there is 3 of us now officially. But Hannah's always been. It's our company.
Scenes,
yeah. So Hannah's definitely been a vital key role in the success that we've had.
Yeah.
We honestly wouldn't have what we have without Hannah. Period. So
I hate that we even have to be like official versus not official.
I know.
She's always been official.
She's always been official, yeah. Not only is she the greatest wife ever, she's going to be the greatest mom ever, but she's also just the greatest person ever. So, babe, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah. We love you so much. Yeah. Hannah's the bomb.com. She's like, in terms of like organization and admin and like management, she's the greatest. I don't think there's anybody better. But
I agree.
So anyway, we'll have that official announcement with Move probably by the end of the month, and then we'll have a store online where you guys can go and purchase stuff. Finally, yeah, it's just been, and we're sorry for the delays. It's just unfortunately with Caitlin and I's careers are both taking off, which is great. So functional versatility is also growing. So we're trying to manage everything. But Hannah's she's had a huge help in getting all that stuff organized. So, so yeah. But anyway, for the meat of the podcast today. So today we're going to be discussing the athlete mentality pertaining, I mean, you could say on like a broad scale for competitive athletes in general. But we're going to obviously talk about how it relates specifically to CrossFit, functional fitness. And then we're going to speak on the psychology of coaching. So it's going to be a lot on psychology today, which is one of Caitlin's strong suits. And she is very, very in tune with that. You do a very good job.
Thank you.
She's like the functional versatility sports therapist.
Unofficial.
I'm
not licensed. I don't have a degree in this. I don't have
preference by saying that.
I don't have any of the official titles, illegal titles. Go ahead and just start.
She has a knack
with that.
She has a big old knack for it.
I'm just kind of decent at it.
Well, let me ask you this. So, to kind of paint the picture clearly. God, I was burping so much.
It's that C4.
Sorry, guys. It's quality content right here.
I love how he there you go. He was
Excuse
burping
me.
into the mic.
Was it called ASMR?
That.
Anyway, more importantly. So to paint a picture clearly, Caitlin is she has this ability to resonate with athletes mentally. So whether it be positive encouragement, direction, explanation, whatever it is, you do a really good job resonating with athletes, where athletes can relate to you and really comprehend what you're saying, which is not always easy because athletes are different, right? So what, I guess to kind of kick off the conversation, what do you think led you to have such like a way to connect with athletes, if that makes sense? Do you think it was like you being an athlete in the past? Like, what do you think kind of led you here?
So we'll start by saying in kindergarten, bear with me. And you had the career day, right? Or elementary school. And you had career day, and they would say, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you have this little list, and you have the 3 or 4 things that you want to be. And then we had a career day, I'll never forget, in kindergarten, and I wanted to be a teacher.
I did not know this.
I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher up through high school, and I took a course, I forgot what it's called, but I left school my senior year to go like assist at a local elementary school. And I loved it. I've always had a knack for kids and like guidance and leading. My mom and my dad will probably tell you that I was a brat growing up because of like on the soccer field, for example. Like I was very much bossy, I guess is the right word. Not a brat, wrong B word, but maybe a brat too, but I was bossy. And I kind of would take control, and I stuck up for people in different ways, and that's always just kind of been inside me. So it wasn't necessarily a specific instance or situation that like sparked that for me.
God wired you that way.
Yeah. Like I just kind of was like, all right, who can I boss today?
Honestly though, like it's so true, because I really feel like it really does come natural for you. Yeah. Like it's very organic.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's weird because like I'll listen to podcasts of other coaches, or I have a poll for certain coaches. Amy Everett from Catalyst Athletics. If she ever hears this, I adore you. Like the coaching style, the way she communicates to her athletes, the respect and the relationship that she has with her athletes, new, old, different abilities, different ages. Like I hold her on this pedestal.
Yeah.
And she's honest and she's true and she's organic. Like, and this is just something that she's good at. She just happens to be good at it.
Right.
Doesn't mean she doesn't work hard at it, in perfecting the craft that she's learned that she has.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just when it comes to communication, it's never been super hard for me to pick up on. I think more so because I receive messages a certain way, and I had a friend of mine tell me I'm very emotionally intellectual, like internally. So I'm very aware of the energy and the messages that I'm giving off. So I expect other people to need to receive that too.
Yeah.
So when every interaction that I have with somebody, whether it's in the gym, on the field, I'm always thinking about how people are interacting and how messages are received. So in communicating, I don't know if it's the fact that I did or did not have a lack of communication growing up. I don't know if there, again, are certain things that led me to kind of want to be better at it, but it's just kind of always been there for me.
Well, let me ask you this. So to give kind of some background, give the listeners some insight into like what you've coached. Because I want that to kind of be the foundation of the conversation of like your history of how you develop this ability.
Just like, I guess in general.
Yeah. Like what you've coached, all the sports, name them.
Okay. Obviously in soccer, when I played it, I was helping my teammates, I guess. I've coached rugby. I've coached my teammates in rugby through like strength and conditioning. I wouldn't say it was officially but it's strength and conditioning. I've coached the LFL. I've coached professional lacrosse players.
That is Lingerie Football League, by the way.
Legends Football League, but I was a tackling coach for the Atlantis team. It was short-lived, but made some great connections, and the girls were great.
Just saying. Not many people have done that. It's pretty cool.
I'm trying to think. I've worked with collegiate soccer players. I've worked with a collegiate tennis player.
Lacrosse team.
A local lacrosse team. I've worked with two high school lacrosse teams.
Yep, 2 teams. Technically 3.
I've worked with powerlifters. I've worked with some football players.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean, guys? Well, I mean, so let me ask you, like, do you feel like that having such a diverse background in these sports and you being challenged, your this ability you have has been challenged, obviously, with so much diversity. Do you feel like that's kind of what built? Do you feel like that? How am I trying to word this? Do you think that is what
that's
led
added to?
Well, do you think that's what's like led you to have such like a tangible?
Yes. So communication is communication. Doesn't matter if you're football, lacrosse, if you are CrossFit, if you're marathon runner, like communication is communication. So for me, it was, I get excited learning about the sport that I'm having to work with specifically and how I can relay those messages of this new sport or of this new verbiage that I have to work with. So like, I think those reps have helped me become more comfortable in the diversity of things, and it's just a little library that I'm putting away. So like I know, again, just like simple terminology of the field for lacrosse, right? Like attack versus long pull or like deep midi or defense, little things like that, which don't necessarily make a huge difference, but they can allow me to resonate with somebody and catch their attention earlier than later.
Especially not being directly involved with the sport, you being able to speak that language definitely helps, right?
And it's credibility too. Like anybody can be a speed and agility coach. Anybody can have a ladder and cones and just say run really fast and don't let your hips cross or don't let your feet get fucked up.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, but it's also not specific and it doesn't hold any kind of credibility.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
So it's like,
which unfortunately in our industry, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So it's like how something from a humanistic perspective, how do I when you're emotionally involved with something, when there's an emotional attachment to a memory, you remember it, right? So me, I make it's an ongoing joke, but I say once you meet me, you can't get rid of me, or you won't forget me.
This is living proof.
But it's like your first interaction makes all the difference. Like first impression means everything. So if I can catch your attention and have you intrigued from the beginning,
which you do a very, very good job of that.
Thanks.
You really do.
Thank you.
I mean, I've seen it. Like you meeting new people. Like you're someone that like sticks with people.
But it's also reading the room.
Yeah.
Hannah, for example, I will never forget the first time I met Hannah. We were here, and Hannah is beautiful. She's got RBF, as do I. So I had heard a lot about her, like, and I was pumped to meet her because I adore you.
Yeah,
and I knew
right.
that, like, she was going to be just this incredible person. So when I first met her, her demeanor was very much like overwhelmed, intimidated, just kind of not sure how to read the room. And she's observing. That's the best word.
Right, yeah.
So I remember walking over to her and I think I gave her a hug off the rip, or I saw, or something.
Hannah
I
does
don't
not like that.
I don't think I did. I think I wanted to, but I made a very quick interaction. Like I walked over, I was like, "Hi, I'm Caitlin," like da-da-da, and just her reaction, I was like, "Okay, she's not on that level yet. Got it." And I probably said something like, "Well, we're here to stay," or something that was super uncomfortable. But no, now we're besties. But that probably wasn't the best interaction that I should use as an example. But
well, Hannah's pretty introverted. Yeah.
She is, ironically, which is kind of funny.
Which is funny because like she's so like she's such a nice person. Yeah, it's just funny.
I don't know. I forgot why I brought that up. But reading the room and knowing how to approach people. So it's like body language too. If I see a new member, for example, or a new kid on the field, or someone who's new to weight training, like, and they're standing with their arms crossed.
Oh yeah. You and I have talked about this.
Body
language.
I
you
say
and
that. I was waiting
for
you to say something. If anybody has been in my class and they cross their arms, there's a chance that I've walked over to you and very lightly tapped your arms and said, "Put your arms down."
Yeah.
And that comes from college.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing rugby and looking around and seeing the other team like bending over, looking tired. I was just fucking tired.
Ooh.
Looking tired.
I'll talk about that whenever we talk about mentality,
looking tired, and I, despite being exhausted, I felt like a little bit of energy come over me, like a little bit of power and confidence, like, okay, if they're tired, I can like nut up type thing. So if you see somebody with little things like their arms crossed, doesn't always mean this, but they could be closed off, they could be uncomfortable, they could be reserved, they could be unapproachable.
Right.
That's the vibe they're giving off, even though that might not be true. Yeah. So people aren't aware of that kind of stuff.
Well, you and I have talked about this, like, as a coach, having your arms crossed.
Yeah.
Immediately is like, okay.
Sometimes I cross my arms every
and
now
some
and then.
people don't think about that.
They
like
don't.
Some people will still walk up and talk to you, but for some, like, if they see that, that's like that's language
a
of being
sign.
like,
yeah. Excuse me. I'll cross my arms when my athletes are competing, like when they're working and they're not directly looking at me for assurance or anything like that.
I try and make a conscious effort every time if I'm coaching to not cross my arms.
Right.
Just that way it's like you have the approachability, right? Yeah,
very open.
Well,
but to circle back, just communication. I don't think there was one specific situation.
Well, so let's do this. When I'm talking about no, well, I kind of wanted them to get an idea of like why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
So with coaching and psychology, right? Obviously, the mentality of an athlete is vital to their performance. And some people, it's natural.
Correct.
Like, I would even say for me, my mentality I've always had that competitiveness. Like, I've always wanted to do well. I've always wanted to win. But it definitely had to be trained and developed over time, because it wasn't always like that. It's funny, man. I say this. I was talking to Will about this the other day. Like, I feel like if I could go back and tell myself, as like in high school, being like, this is what you need to do to have a stronger mindset, like I so would, because looking back at it, I'm like, man, for lack of a better term, I felt like I had like weakness in my thinking. And I feel like CrossFit really, and this is a testament to all the coaches I've had, because they've all, helped me along the way with that.
Molded you.
And we'll talk about the actual, like, what kind of mentality you should have, more specific to CrossFit. We'll get there in a minute. But the psychological aspect is very important, because you have to have a trained mind in order to succeed physically, right? So let's talk about that. What challenges do you feel like you've encountered in athletes in general when it comes to their psychology? Because I feel like it's going to be case by case, right?
It is. It
like, there's some
is.
themes that are across the board, and there's some that are specific to the individual athlete.
I would say the biggest, the reoccurring hurdle that I get with most athletes is their inability to regulate their emotions game day.
Ooh.
Inability
point.
to regulate their
like
emotions.
the nervousness,
Game day,
the
the inability to
Anxiety.
regulate their emotions. Go time, right? Like so, even just for, I wouldn't even say. And again, let me preface or rephrase. Game day is not necessarily just competition. It can be your max week. It could be a specific test that you have to do. Right. Any kind of test. So, and there's so many things that play a role as to how you perform. So it's mentally, right? It's doubting yourself. It's your confidence. Do you think you're ready? Do you think you're not? The stimulation from the crowd or the noise if you're in competition.
Or lack of.
Yeah. Like, very isolated versus overstimulated external sources.
Right.
So it's unfortunately sometimes you can sit there and talk with people through it and like you can have that conversation and create.
So like what would be your protocol if you had an athlete that do both sides of the spectrum? Like if you had an athlete that has crazy anxiety on game day.
I'm trying to think of somebody that I've worked with specifically that I can give. So, okay.
I'm giving you their consent to talk about it.
Okay.
You sign up with us, it's in the contract.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Really, ironically, it's breath work, which kind of comes from soccer in college.
Parasympathetic breathing,
It
baby.
is. So
that is so key. I'm so glad you said that.
I will never forget I don't know why I thought this. And I'm sure I heard it somewhere. I can't quote where I heard it or when I heard it. But some of the girls on the rugby team, for example, they'll get the wind knocked out of them. Tough hit, it happens, and you freak the fuck out. You're like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Right? And so I remember looking at one of my girls and saying, when I was playing, I wasn't coaching yet, and I said, once you get your breathing under control, everything else will work itself out.
Yeah.
Everything will fall where it should. So don't worry about the ambulance. Don't worry about the AT. Don't worry about your friends. Like just worry on what you are capable of doing in this exact moment.
Right.
Which that term also can be applied for game day, knowing your capability. But like just focus on one thing. It's so easy to look at your plate and see how full it is and then freak out. But if you focus on the one thing, the rest isn't going away, but you can't even go to the others until you fucking
It's
breathe.
almost like the singularity is calming.
Correct.
I see what you mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Like just, I don't know, your judgment.
It's almost like a distraction.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like just control the controllables. And all you can do right now is focus on breathing.
So I would honestly say, and I feel like you would agree, that breathing techniques are almost like the way you regulate your nervous system.
It is. It's
right?
directly affected. Yeah.
So like extreme stimulation or anxiety or something which is your body is working to deal with that. So that's energy expended, right? So we use parasympathetic breathing techniques.
Real quick, just so this is an accountability thing. Chiropractor, Kyle Petrina, we're going to have you on at some point, and we're going to have a conversation about this. Continue.
Yes.
This is an executive decision. I just thought about it.
Cool.
Continue.
Kyle, you're going to be on the show at some point.
Yeah,
yes.
on standby, dude.
But yeah, that's like nervous system obviously is the battery, your body's battery, right? So the breathing techniques are definitely a great way to deal with like anxiety.
And it's reps, right? So you and I both
have to train it.
Right.
Exactly.
So like you and I both have prescribed and integrated parasympathetic breathing with our athletes. Not necessarily because they're gearing up for game day, but just to have the confidence and the comfortability and the habit of regulating without even like having to think about it.
Well, it's a tool for recovery too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was introduced to parasympathetic breathing by Kyle Ruth, and there's different Wim Hof,
right?
Or I always say, I feel like I say it wrong, but like breathing techniques, the basically like a way to maximize your nervous system,
right?
And like contrast showering, like body temperature regulation, blah blah blah. All that stuff does play like. It can help you train your ability to control your anxiety.
Correct.
And like your heart rate.
Correct.
And your breathing and things like that.
And it's people forget that I believe your lungs are a muscle.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm just confirming.
We train them aerobically all the time. Yeah.
So I had an athlete one time and say, I don't want to just like breathe. Like I don't understand. Which he wasn't trying to be rude, but he's like, what's the point of this? And I said, it's a muscle, you have to train it.
Yeah.
And that's why I backtracked. I was like, did I say that wrong to him?
No,
but it worked.
But
it worked.
It's a piece of your aerobic system.
Yeah, and as that being able to resonate with him, because I knew that he was very focused on the musculature, endurance, and focus of working out in general. So I was like, it's a muscle. You have to train it.
Yeah, it's your cardiovascular system too. I mean, it's something that's utilized. Yeah. Well, so do you think? So like so still talking about like athletes that deal with. So I'm trying to think like how this would benefit listeners, right? So obviously, so parasympathetic breathing. Let's wrap this. We'll tie a bow on it, and then we'll move on to the next one. So parasympathetic breathing, for example, and we're not experts on this at all. I just know what works through experience. Disclaimer. But we'll say like 5 minutes of a
3-3-3-3.
Yeah, we'll keep it simple across the board. We'll say 3-5-3-5, right? Or 5-3-5-3. I think it's a better way. So you would do a 5-second inhale, 3-second hold, 5-second exhale, 3-second hold. We typically recommend doing this where you are like laying down, your legs can be elevated, like a very relaxed position, right?
Very passive kind of movement.
What this does is it distracts your mind, one, because you're focusing on obviously counting your breathing. And then it is very calming for the nervous system. So like I used to do that prior to competitions because that's the only way I could have any kind of peace until that first event is done. Like once the first event is done, I'm not nearly as nervous, which I think that's pretty common, right?
Right, I agree.
At least in CrossFit. Unless there's one event that's just like terrible, that But that was always a great way for me because I always had game day anxiety. Like still even. I mean, even before workouts in the freaking class, I get anxious sometimes. But that's like a great tool that you can utilize, and that's not, I guess that's not as much like psychological. There's more of like a physical way to deal with it. But
it helps with the psychological.
Exactly.
Yeah,
tying the two together, it's going to help calm your mind.
Right.
Right. And so that's like a very like hands-on way to deal with your game day anxiety. So next thing, what do you think about like visualization? Like, is that a tool that you use with your athletes?
Imagery? Yes.
Elaborate on that.
So, it's very easy just if you take a step back out of the gym world, like we focus on the negative often. Like you could have 10 compliments and one bad one and you only hear that one, right?
And that's so true.
The same thing occurs for most people with training. They see and they picture the one thing that they did wrong and they get fixated on it, or the 6 things they did wrong, which when it comes to Olympic lifting, that happens all the time because it's such a technical movement, both the clean and jerk and the snatch. So, and we have a lot of complex movements outside of that. Back squat,
specifically
overhead press,
in CrossFit,
push-ups. Yeah, like
absolutely.
Everything you do is complex for the most part.
Right.
So I just lost my train of thought.
Oh gosh.
This happens sometimes.
Visualization.
Imagery. So before, literally that was just like a squirrel, but there's no squirrel in here. Like, anyway.
It's okay. We're good now.
So with the imagery, a lot of times what I'll do, and you've heard me say this, is if, let's say, Libby or let's say Chris or somebody, they're about to walk up to the bar.
Chris is our master's athlete. Libby's our teen athlete.
Yes. So if I know there's something that they have been fixated on or we've been working hard on, before they even approach the bar or walk up, I'll look at them and say, if you were watching yourself from where I'm standing, close your eyes and imagine a flawless lift. What do you want that to look like? And they'll kind of just look at me. I'm like, why do I see the whites of your eyes? Close your eyes and imagine it. Like, and if you can put yourself there, you might still fail it, right? But you're going into it with the mindset of success versus failure.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Interesting.
So, and it's also like reading the athlete. Kaylee, for example, whenever she had her snatched overhead squat complex, we did that not too long ago. I got so hyped from that. Yeah, because it's been a long uphill battle mentally with her, and she's come such a long way. So before she walked up to the bar, and she failed it before she got that twice. Yeah. And she was about to walk up, and I said, imagine yourself doing it correctly. What do you want it to look like? What do you expect of yourself? And she got into that mindset, and she failed it. But when she backed off, she looked at me, she goes, like, I have this. I got it. Wow. And that's, if you know, she's come a long way. So like that, it like kind of chokes me up now thinking about it, because her first thought was, I got this, after a fail, not, I can't do this.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. And
which is a very easy hole to fall into.
Yeah. Like,
just negativity spirals.
Yeah, it does. Sure. And it's very hard
I guess negative thoughts.
Yeah. It's like, it's very hard to get out of that fixation, which I do it too. You do it. Everybody does.
God, yeah.
Especially if you've trained so hard on something for so long and it just doesn't go your way. You're like, what the fuck? Why is this not working?
Right.
But if you just keep chipping away at it, focus on the good things, doesn't mean that you're taking away from the focus of what you've been trying to work on, but it alleviates that negativity in your brain and it turns it from failure to possible success.
Right.
And all you need is that possibility.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if people know, I don't know if people know this. I think you may know this. I minored in coaching psychology. Or sorry, coaching, excuse me.
I minored in
coaching psychology was one of my classes and was taught by one of my coaching idols, Trey Burdett. Dude, one of the best, just general, and not even, he owns White Belt CrossFit in Chattanooga. So if you're ever up there, please go check him out. Him and his wife, Mia, are great. I don't even know if Trey realizes the impact that he had on me. But that dude just is such a good coach. A lot of his background's in baseball, but he got into CrossFit and he's phenomenal. That guy is just incredible. Anyway, Trey, you're great. He's huge on visualization. Huge.
It's crazy.
And I think that there's a curriculum for it that's taught in school, obviously, but a lot of it is I do it before competitions. I think about the event and I run the event through my head, and that can really benefit you and almost help you kind of, at least for some, will probably give you some ease.
Yeah.
Because you've already ran through it in your mind, right? It's kind of like when you lift and you fail a lift, you now know what that weight feels like.
Right.
So it's kind of like it kind of eases the stress a little bit because there's familiarity. So that's a good technique you can utilize too. Like if you're prior to a competition or something like that, if you can run yourself mentally through an event, it could benefit you for that event because it's almost like mentally preparing you.
Small tools that I've implemented, we're kind of crossing parasympathetic breathing with imagery, is that if I'm a very visual person anyway, that's whenever someone's explaining a concept to me in my head, for whatever reason, it's like an image, and it's always been that way. So if you were just learning how to parasympathetic breathe and becoming comfortable with hearing yourself breathe, which a lot of people don't have that, and picture your lungs in your head and watch them expand and release and expand, and that trains your mind how to imagine things too, obviously in a realistic way. But learning little tips and tricks of utilizing the brain and how it can correlate with the body is super beneficial.
Right. So tools you can utilize. You know me, I'm a checklist person. So parasympathetic breathing, obviously great. Calming the mind and the nervous system. Visualization, very good. And visualization can be done the night before, can be done before the event.
Right.
Definitely something you have to train yourself to do, but can very much help. Now, what are your thoughts on positive, negative reinforcement?
It's person to person.
Explain. What do you have more success with? What do you have less success with?
I have more success with positive reinforcement, and that does not mean it's always rainbows and butterflies.
Sure.
Right? You are giving something for the outcome that you want versus taking something away for the outcome you want. That's the way I've always looked at it.
What do you mean?
So, for example, I would think about running sprints in college or in high school, right? If someone does something wrong, a negative reinforcement would be taking the person who screwed up off the field or making them run by themselves.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Positive, in my opinion, would be adding something, a drill for them to do that would correlate with the entire team versus isolating them and taking them out. Psychologically speaking.
Punishment versus giving them a tool to succeed.
Correct. Don't quote me on that. That is not by the book. That's just the way that my brain sees it. So it could be incorrect from the terminology, but that's just the way my brain sees it. So for positive reinforcement is giving the feedback. Feedback sometimes means silence with the intention that the athlete can think about what they're doing.
Dude, I struggle with this so much. You know this. It's one thing. So here's what I would say. I would say Caitlin and I do, the reason you and I are paired so well together, because I feel like your strength is coaching. And I feel like my strength is programming.
Correct.
And I've been coaching CrossFit since 2011. Yeah, September 2011, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And I still feel like I struggle. It's and I'm pretty sure every coach will tell you that you're never there. There's no such thing as a perfect coach, right?
Correct, yeah.
But even so for example, Libby. Libby is a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
That is new territory for me, dude. Brand new territory for me. And she's like, she's very mature for her age. In some aspects of being an athlete.
She's a teenage high school girl.
Exactly.
That's all you have to say. Everybody will understand.
There you go. And it's new for me. So like, for example, she had some hiccups in her qualifiers for the for quarterfinals or age group qualifiers, excuse me. And I was like, I called you. Yeah, and I was like, Caitlin, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
You gotta call her, you gotta talk to her.
Because I was like, dude, I don't know. Because, so for me personally, and again, this is me going back to Trey. Trey, when we were taught in our coaching minor, because Trey taught a lot of my classes, because I should have said this, he was a professor at the school. Positive reinforcement all the way.
Right.
Like Trey had really bad experiences with coaches in his past with negative reinforcement. Mm-hmm. And negative reinforcement was way more common back in the day because that's just what people did.
Right.
And just like anything, when there's more information, there's more science, time goes by, you learn, and you learn there's better ways to do things, right? And positive reinforcement scientifically and statistically has more success than negative reinforcement. And I feel like I kind of I used to fall into that big time. Like I used to talk mad shit to myself. And then once I changed that, and Kyle Ruth had a big hand in this too, changing it to positive affirmation of like, okay, instead of like, let's just say, for example, in the middle of the workout, it's not like, don't be a bitch, don't be a pussy, don't do this. Like, come on, fucking man up. Like, to me, that, I'm going to try and put my thoughts into words here. This is probably not going to make sense, but to me, that's you saying you're a piece of shit, fix it.
Right.
As opposed to saying
what you're feeling doesn't matter.
As opposed to saying you're working hard.
Right.
Keep going and push yourself, right? And so
small changes of don't be a pussy versus one more rep.
Keep going, right? So like, and you think, now it may seem silly, but it makes a world of difference because immediately when you start talking shit to yourself, it seems like you're doing bad, and that's not the case, right? It's just, and I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into the mentality side of things, but it's almost like I don't know. To me, that resonated more.
Self-talk, and I feel like I try and huge component. Self-talk.
Well, and I feel like you and I both teach more the positive side to our athletes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's better. You're not putting them in this bad headspace. Right. I
agree.
Because I just feel, and dude, listen, people may disagree with me, and that's fine. If negative reinforcement works for you, that's great. Do it.
It's also crazy, like just reinforcement in general, what people respond to. So for example, you and Hannah will like the crowd giving you energy and hearing your name and hearing people like cheer you on, get you going. Not me.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
like I do so much better in front of people.
I remember my first high school soccer game, and I hated it because I was focused on the crowd. I was like, I don't care that people are here. Like, why do I hear my name?
Right.
It's taking away from my focus of the ball.
Yeah.
Like, and I will never forget that. Like, I think one of the first times I was working out and you were like, come on, Caitlin, keep going. And I probably looked at you like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut your mouth.
Like, I don't care that you look at me. Like, I know people are going to look at me while I'm training. It's part of the environment. But I don't want to hear my name.
Yeah.
I think I said something before. It was like, you're not going to care more than I do about my performance. And that's just an internal drive that I have. And that's, I think we can kind of segue into the next component of mentality and like the dog eat dog mentality versus just kind of, I don't want to say cruising, but like I would consider myself a cruising athlete, which doesn't mean that I'm just kind of like bopping along. But I don't have this like fucking grit that you and Hannah and like other people here have. That's something you're born with. I
agree with that. I do feel like they're I don't know if it's born with. It's just like the
it's innate. It's in you.
It fosters in the environment you're brought up in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also like, for example, soccer growing up. If we had a region championship game or some big game and we lost, like you won't see me crying.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm emotionally invested. But I look at that loss as, okay, back to the drawing board.
I think one of the hardest things, I'm glad you mentioned this. I think one of the hardest things as an athlete is to looking at the big picture versus the small picture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you look at it as the big picture,
Yeah.
Which is a very mature thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to do because
Mhm.
there's emotion involved in sports and training. There is.
Yeah.
Whether you say
have
there
to
is
want
or not.
to be there.
Yes.
Yes.
There's emotions play a huge part.
Right.
Especially in the psychological aspect. And it's hard for athletes to get hyper focused on
Mm-hmm.
a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, and I mean, we can dive so deep into this,
Yeah.
but some people will use it as motivation. Some people will take it in the very wrong direction. Some people learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really just depends. But I think the answer to that would be to learn.
Yeah.
Learn and grow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very hard, especially when the emotions are involved, to take a bad event or a loss or something like that, and not do what you do,
Mm-hmm.
where you go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and that's not. I want to go ahead and say that that's not to say that if you do become emotionally riled up after a hard loss, that you're lesser than. Like,
No,
if,
definitely
I just
okay
wanna
to
go
do
ahead.
that.
I didn't think that it would be taken the
Definitely
wrong
okay
way,
to
but
do that,
I
which
will
is what I
never-
do. I do that.
Yeah, you get
Because I'm
really
an
worked
emotional
up.
person anyway.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it's just, and I've also can say I've never put my blood, sweat, and tears into something so much that like my entire livelihood like rode on that line. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like professional athletes or
Mhm.
something of that nature. It's just never been it for me. But I think now that my wheels are turning, I think that comes from me knowing my capability as an athlete pretty early on.
Yeah. Well, you've been in sports forever.
Since I was 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally forever. Yeah,
So-
so have I. Yeah, same thing.
Backtrack for a second. When I was playing soccer in high school, late middle school into high school, I kept getting injured. Hamstring injuries, glute injuries, sprained my Achilles tendon. So it was
Fast
like,
forward to today, same shit.
yeah, literally. And I was constantly getting injured. So I was going to PT, and as a, preteen teenager, you'd put in the work, but I mean, you're still wanting to like go hang out with your friends and do all these things.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
because I was injured and because I was constantly off of the field, that was time taken away from me dedicating time to perfecting my craft, right?
Right.
And wanting to go wherever I wanted to go. I loved soccer, but I wasn't in love with it. Like I never had, I don't know. I kind of wanted to play college, but it wasn't like I wasn't fixated
That wasn't
on
like your
it.
path.
Yeah, like, and so I think it came to realization for me that I'm good. I'm really good, but I'm not great.
Interesting.
And I know my parents, my dad specifically, really, really wanted. I mean, I traveled a good bit with soccer.
Mhm.
Like I had potential, but some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I realized that early because I think it's kind of, I don't know, led the path for my way of thinking today. But it's like knowing your capability, being realistic with yourself, and being too hopeful. And beating yourself into the ground. Because, like, I'm sure you've seen parents who are like, my kid's going to go be great. They're going to go to the
they're
freaking
out there.
pros.
They're out there, yeah.
It's like, this isn't to say that your kid isn't good and can't have fun, but they just don't have it.
Well, I think at the end of the day, like, the reason we do these sports and these things because we like to do them.
Yeah, we want to be there.
When the fun is taken out,
yeah.
then it's like the motivation drastically drops.
Right. And it's
Because
just...
you want it to be fun.
Right, you want it to be fun.
Now,
and
no matter what you do, whatever sport, there's going to be parts of it that are not fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, circling back, yeah, I feel like I know the answer to this already, but you're mainly it's positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Same.
Correct.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to. I'm just not that. And again, it does. Of course, it boils down to athlete to athlete. Like there's athletes that I have mainly for the affiliates that I'd be like, you're being a bitch.
Yeah.
Stop being a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's athletes that would do
It's
nothing for them.
Right.
Like they would be like, what? Like that would not point them in the right direction.
Correct.
So I think that personally, from our experience, positive reinforcement is definitely the way to go. Like teach them. You don't damn them for making a mistake.
Right.
And if you're motivated by that, by all means go ahead.
Yeah, some people are. Some people
do not like positive reinforcement.
They don't, and they just work really well off of being yelled at and talked down to, but they're a super successful athlete.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that that's necessarily healthy in the long run, but
right.
just so that we're clear.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So it's just, I just keep thinking back to our teenager whenever you called me. You're like, I don't know what to do because you are emotionally invested.
I was like,
and
bro.
Again, you respond different than I do. Obviously, very different. If you guys have taken our classes or had us as a coach, like we are very different, which is kind of funny why we work so well together.
I know.
But
it's very true.
Like your first impulse would have been to have that emotion, like, what the fuck was that? What happened?
That's why. So like, I know myself enough to know how I would respond. And even like Libby's parents were like, we don't know how Hamilton's going to respond. So like, we don't know. And that's why I wanted her to come out on the better side of things. So I called you because this is like your cup of tea, man. And you handled it. And you did exactly what you needed to do, and we're fine. We're past it. It's all good. Because again, we're trying to keep them in that line of, okay,
right,
drawing board.
Right.
Here's what not to do. We're going to move forward and not do it anymore.
Right.
So, it's definitely like, it's all about like experience and learning and growing and just training your mind to be as, disciplined and unwavering as your body, So, okay. So now let's shift to like, and I mean, there's not even really like a point to talking about this. I just like talking about it because it's interesting to me. Is like the athlete mentality and like specific to CrossFit. Because I feel like the majority of people that are listening to this are obviously going to be, I mean, I would definitely put us in the category of like functional fitness, but this can honestly go for like lifters or athletes too. I find it so fascinating. Just how like the mentality you have to have in CrossFit, because we experience pain on a daily basis, which is crazy to me, right? Think about it. Like it's it's just, to me, it blows my mind. But the result of that is so beneficial for you, right? Like not only like the discipline you get from that, it almost trains you to have like a strong mind in everything that you do because everything is easier.
Yeah, it's allowing yourself to be uncomfortable with discomfort or comfortable with discomfort.
It's funny. Kyle said this one time, and it like just got imprinted in my brain. He was like, pain is a signal that you're working. Now, okay, let me put it this way. Not actual like injury pain. Discomfort and pain in a workout is a sign that you're working hard. Right. Not a sign to stop. Right. And I've always resonated with that. Like, because in the middle of it, like if I'm deep in a workout and shit sucks, I think about that. And there would be workouts that he would prescribe. And I actually just I gave Kyle Petrino, when you listen to this, Kyle, I gave Kyle the 10-minute FY on the assault bike. The 10-minute max cal stands for fuck you. On that was compliments of James Fitzgerald from OPEX back in the day. Still to this day, one of the most painful workouts you can do is a 10-minute max cal, but it's a great test for anaerobic output and whatever. Right. And I told Kyle, I was like, I want you to go looking for pain. Like I want you to go for it. Like when you're in it, stay in it. Like make it miserable. And sorry, Kyle. Kyle got at the end. He was like, I didn't push hard enough. He's like, he was like, how should I feel after this? And I was like, you should not walk for like 20 minutes.
That's another thing, is learning the territory that you.
Yes, like learning what pain is.
Right. Like, okay, so I have an example. Victoria, one of my powerlifting athletes. Now, again, let me go ahead and start by saying I do not ask for my athletes to get to this point. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. She competed a couple weeks ago. She kicked ass, won her weight class, second best overall lifter. Like, she did incredible. Shout out. On her last deadlift, she pulled, it was 2 pounds less than her current PR, which was incredible. She had to cut for this weight class. Like, it was just a whole day. And she made the lift. It was a good lift, brought it back down, and then she passed out. She came to pretty quickly, right?
It's awesome.
So
it's awesome, dude. I love it.
So,
because that's max effort.
Right. So what I'm saying is that she's an athlete who at the very beginning didn't know that territory, that uncharted water. She didn't know what it was going to feel like to push herself to that limit because she's never been asked to. Right. As we learned, I know now that she's an athlete that is willing to get to that point without me even asking.
Dude, I think I find it such an admirable quality for someone who's willing to die.
Now,
for lack of a better term.
On the flip side, you have to be careful with that sort of effort because it can be toxic.
Well, not only that, you are very right, but it has to be like, and this is where coaching comes in.
Controlled 100%.
Well, it has to be like, there's times for it.
Correct.
Right? Like, Victoria, that was game day.
That was the time.
That's what you.
It was her
I want that shit.
last lift of the,
I fucking
of the day.
want that shit, and I get so amped. Like I love that story because that's incredible. And like what I'm learning even with my athletes now, because even going through like my first quarterfinals and age group qualifiers with Chris Cayley and the ones that qualified, like I'm learning their limits too.
Right.
And they don't even know their limits. So like. I'm giving them stuff now to kind of get to that point. Like right now, we're kind of like in the beginning of the season, so we're kind of laying the foundation. But like, know it's coming. I'm going to give you guys some shit that you're going to look at and be like, whoa.
Right.
And a lot of it is to see, like, I want you to hurt.
Right.
I want to see how deep you can go.
Right.
Now, this is like these not frequent.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah,
for
there's
it.
definitely these are not frequent.
This is not an everyday thing. This is not an every week thing. Like,
let me preface all this. If you're doing this to your athletes on a daily basis, it's not good.
Quit.
Not good. Definitely not good. Definitely not good. Don't do that. No.
No.
But there are like targeted efforts that over periods of time will help develop their threshold for work and pain and stuff like that. And it's a mental thing too. Like you're training their mentality to, if you give someone a hard task and they accomplish it, that's a huge step of growth. Right.
We're pushing that line of, oh shit.
Right.
Back.
So let's talk. So perfect example. The first time I was given a 10-minute fuck you test, I think I got like 150 calories, right? Which is fine because it's all contingent on your ability.
Right.
But if you get over 200 in that test, that's really good fucking score.
Right.
Like that's very good. Tommy Hackenbrook, oh my gosh, dude. The craziest, most impressive thing I've ever seen. Tommy Hackenbrook did 3 FU tests in a row. And I can't remember his rest in between, but he got over 200 each time. Blew my fucking mind. That dude is a stud. Crazy. Also, he was his team, I forgot the name of his team. I can't remember what it was.
Anyway.
But before Froning got into the team space, his team were the one that were winning every year. Very impressive athlete, dude. That's wow, dude. Just very impressive.
Some people have the desire to be in that pain cave and stay there.
The savage mentality you have to have.
Not everybody has it.
I love it. Like, and that's why, honestly, like, I've really been focusing on that more lately of, like, you can still have a savage mindset, not in that type of workout, right? So, like, even for example, yesterday, we did Murph practice. My body's feeling a little beat up. I was originally going to scale it back, but I was like, no, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do what's prescribed, but I'm going to dial it back. To me, that's having a savage mindset. Like being able to say, who gives a shit what everybody else thinks, which is tough to do as a competitor, right? Because I want to win everything.
Whereas me, I'm like, no, I'm good.
And Caitlin, and honestly, but again, that's why I have a lot of respect for you because you are so mature in that way. Like you're like, I don't fucking care. I'm going to do what's best for me. Whereas for me, I will literally sacrifice my body to win. Like I will literally, like my leg could be fucking broken, and someone could be like, Hamilton, I need you to, even though your leg is broke, I need you to squat 700 pounds for us to win.
Done.
I literally will do it or I'll die. Like I'm not. It's one or the other, and I'm like that. And I really now obviously this is a little extreme, but I try and be like that in my faith, my career. Like I try and say like
all in.
If I'm gonna dedicate myself to something, husband, soon to be father, like I want it to be that way. I want to be so bought into it that like I will literally win or die, one of the two. Now, not everybody thinks that way. Again, Caitlin and I, perfect examples. Like we think very differently.
Yeah.
And again, it all boils down to like what makes you happy, what your goals are, obviously things like that. But having this conversation to bring relevance to everything that we're saying, if you are competing in CrossFit or Olympic lifting or something like that, especially lifting, like lifting is definitely, this is very important in my opinion. I believe that channeling emotion in CrossFit or lifting and really in general is a great way to succeed. Like personally, because it works for me, I take my head to a very dark place.
Yeah, you've said that before.
When I lift. And I get very emotional because I succeed that way. I'll never forget Granite Games 2018 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a team with Hunter. Why am I blanking on Hunter's last name? Hunter Wood, and Frankie Mastrani. Frankie, I'm sorry if I get this wrong if you're listening to this. Frankie just qualified for semifinals.
Hey.
Great job, dude. He's going to be at the MAC. I can't wait to watch you crush it. Two extremely good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter used to play football at Auburn, is a total stud now. I think he's in PT school or just got done with PT school. Frank is a wonderful nutritionist, Active Works Nutrition. Check him out. He's great. Anyway, I was on a team with them. They had a max clean event.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
oh, yeah.
dude, I'm going to win this or I'm going to die trying, because that's like, if you know me, that's my strongest lift and my favorite lift to do. We were in a massive
Big
crowd.
arena, yeah.
Massive fucking crowd. You
Yeah.
would have hated it. You would have absolutely fucking hated it. But I literally was like, dude, I literally could have lifted a fucking building.
Mm-hmm.
I was so amped up.
Yeah.
Frankie was like, dude, you made me nervous. How like you looked like you literally were gonna kill somebody. Because for me, like I feed off energy. So like I perform. I've always performed better on game day than I do in training. Always, which is Ty Brogdon said that. He's like, I would take that athlete over another athlete any day, like the one that shows up on game day. And I won the clean event. And it was, dude, I was going against like studs.
Yeah.
Like Garrett Fisher, Sam Dancer, like very strong athletes. Yeah. And like I was so emotional to the point of tears. And it wasn't like, it's because my adrenaline was through the fucking roof.
Right.
But that's how I channel my adrenaline, is through emotion, which some people do it differently. Some people do it by staying calm.
That's, I think, how I
am. And like for me, like focus channels your adrenaline. Me, I'm like, I like to like.
You need that stimulation,
dude,
that physical stimulation to get you pumped up.
There's a video, if you guys want a little bit of entertainment, there is a video on my Instagram of me doing the clean on 18.2A in the open, where it was 10 minutes. I think it was like 10 or 12 minutes. It was the 1 to 10 dumbbell front squats and burpees over the dumbbell, or bar facing, or burpees. I can't remember what it was, but there was a max clean. So it was 2 events. And you see me walk away from the bar and I smack the shit out of myself. I know. And I'm not even that kind of athlete, but I was so like, yeah, I'm not that guy. Like if I'm back squatting and you hit my back, I'm going to be pissed. I'm not,
don't touch
not
me.
a motivator for me at all. But I was so amped up that like, that was just a byproduct of that. And everyone in the gym was like, what the fuck is Hamilton doing? This
like,
psycho
what?
over here
We're
smacking
like,
himself. But I got the lift. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, I've always just, to me, that's the mentality I've always had, in the headspace I've always had, especially with lifting and in workouts. Like, if I'm about to do Fran, I'm gonna get that amped up.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be because I'm about to send it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I'm gonna do Murph, I'm not gonna have that mentality.
Right.
I can't, because that's not the stimulus. That's not the point of the workout.
That's you getting that amped is for a sprint, not for a marathon.
For something when I know pain's coming. And then like, it's almost like you can almost put it this way. You can either expend it quickly or you can drag it out.
Yeah.
So like for something like Murph, you have to have it drug out, because when the pain sets in the 10, 20, 30 minute mark, you have to have that fucking, you got to go. Like you just got to do it. So I don't know, maybe that was just me word vomiting my mentality when it comes to CrossFit. But I would say like we like, that's benefited some of our athletes, as I've been like, get pissed.
Yeah.
Like get angry.
Yeah.
Like get amped up. Like amp yourself up.
That's
Before
the
I do a lift,
part.
I'm like pacing back and forth because I'm so like,
that's the hardest
jacked.
part, I think, about learning your athletes. One of the harder parts is that learning how they physically respond to being amped. Like what their focus is, what their I'm ready to go looks like. Because again, you and I are very different.
Yeah.
You are very like externally like, you know, huffing and puffing and fucking barking and all that shit.
Shout out Will Jones.
Whereas me, I'm quiet.
Yeah.
Like I have, okay. Might have to pause. I got to pee so bad, but I have a thought.
Well, hold on. Well, I mean, we're almost done.
Are we almost done?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of got through what we needed to do. All right.
One more.
Our bladders are ending this podcast.
No, okay, I have one. I want to ask. I'll hold it.
Power through it. You can do it.
Rituals.
Oh, yeah.
Like approaching a lift or a workout. Like, it can be physical more so is what I'm talking about. Like, do you have a ritual that you partake in?
Yes, kind of. So, like, if I'm about to lift, I normally stay within about 10 or 15 feet of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I
this
like
is any barbell lift. So,
any barbell lift, whether it's on the rack, on the floor, whatever. And I start jacking myself up. Like, I start getting real. I take my head to that very dark place. I get very, very emotional. And I usually pace. Pacing is like a byproduct of that.
Right.
I do get kind of verbal a little bit. I will, like, especially coming out of the lift, of course. That's natural. But I might do a couple barks beforehand. But you'll even see, like, there's even times where, and I'm not really setting a good example here, but like the second quarter when I hit those crazy numbers, dude, I got done. I threw a chair.
Yeah, he did. That was kind of.
I did. I threw a chair. Oh, one thing also you do, which what's the guy's name? The one the really, really good athlete from Iceland.
BKG.
Yes, okay. BKG. He flicks the bar off if he makes a lift. I do the same shit. You just do this. There's a picture of me at Axat Mania when I hit the thruster at 305 and I flicked it off. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. But it's just that's again a byproduct of being so just fucking amped up, you know. And then that's you asserting your victory over the lift.
Your dominance over that bar.
There you go. Yep. But some people drop it, thank you, and walk away. There's nothing wrong with that. Olympic lifters too. Like, the majority of Olympic lifters are very, like, calm.
Composed.
And technical. Composed. Great way to put it. Composed. Whereas, like, power lifters are, like, fucking savages up there, dude. I love it. I love it. But it just all boils down to what's best for you and whatever's going to resonate best with your athlete. Like, if you have an athlete that does better off of that, feed into it.
Right.
If you have an athlete that
Fuel
does
the fire
better,
that you know
who's calm,
go.
mimic that. Be calm and composed with them. So I think that's kind of, like, it's interesting to, like, see what that's like per athlete.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was a long one.
Was it?
Hour and 13 minutes.
Wow.
I know. Sorry for the first 6 minutes of this, by the way.
No, we're not.
Probably the audio is probably blech. I'll see if I can fix it on the back end. Blech. But, so yeah. So this episode, very cool. Got to see, again, we had to talk about one of Caitlin's strengths, which she's fucking phenomenal with that stuff. Next episode, we will be talking about programming. Next episode we'll probably start on the affiliate first and then do individual or vice versa. I'm not sure yet. We'll do one of the two. And then we have topics like nutrition coming up. Hannah will be on here. Kyle, you're now going to be on here.
You're up, dude.
Which will be great. That's very relevant to our space anyway. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Check us out on social media. Functional Versatility. On YouTube, Spotify, blah, blah, blah.
Check
all that
out
good
Adam
stuff.
Meyer and Move.
Check out Adam Meyer Move. I will have that linked in the description of this video,
as well
as our podcast on podcast on Spotify. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on episode 6. All right, bye.
Y'all have a good one.